Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rachel, for those of you who may not know me, and today we're going to be talking about how to heal from a heartbreak. Now, this heartbreak is not just in a relationship standpoint, it could be in a disappointment, a past disappointment, friendships, and so many other things. And I just felt this topic was super important to talk about because I feel like the dating world and the way relationships are viewed today is really skewed and has really taken a shift, and not for the best, honestly, quite frankly for the negative. And I just believe healing essentially shouldn't be dictated based on those expectations and norms. So we're going to get right into what I will be talking about. So how to heal from a heartbreak. Number one is feel. Feel your pain. Don't run away from it. Don't escape it. Process it. Feel it. Mourn it. Value it. Reminisce. Go through it, but do not dwell in it. Feel. Don't dwell. And number two is understand that your value is not in that person or the job. If someone got picked over you, it's not a depiction of your value. And why I need you to understand that your value is not based on compared onto someone else. Your value is something that stands alone. And that's why you can't really be bothered by if someone was picked over you, because being picked is not being chosen. And your value, because your value is something that's a standalone and not in comparison to other people, you'd rather be chosen than to be picked, because being picked is not really a compliment to your character, because you're not being picked based upon who you are or how in-depthly you're connecting. Because if someone has options, they're really relating to people on surface level and they're not really going in deeper, because someone who knows what he wants, someone who knows what they want, doesn't need options. Point is, turn your pain into purpose. So right now I'm making a YouTube video because I have past experience of disappointments, and instead of staying and dwelling in it or just keeping it to myself, I'd rather share it for someone who might be experiencing the same level of pain or hurt and may need this in a very moment. Never a loss if you had to walk away. Anything that required you to walk away was never really yours in the first place, or maybe it was just not ready for you at that moment. Maybe you weren't at the person you needed to be and the person wasn't. It can be so many different things. But if you had to walk away, it was never really a loss, because true value is held in consistency. And anything that's inconsistent with you doesn't really truly love or value you, or even themselves. And it's the same thing with our relationship with God. Like, sometimes when I'm inconsistent, I'm like, if I'm inconsistent, that means I don't really love God. So it's the same thing with a person. If you're inconsistent with them, you can't tell them that you love them, because that goes against the natural law of love. Understanding that something that pushed you away was never really yours, and something that was yours will be consistent with you and choose you to the very end, not just when it's convenient for them. Thing is, discern so you don't have to learn. So this is a way to kind of avoid heartbreak, and also you can discern after the heartbreak. So it goes just opposed. So it goes for before and even after. So in the before standpoint, discerning so you don't have to learn. It's very important with friendships, people, places, that our discernment cap is always on, so we don't have to learn from people's choices, bad mistakes, or their patterns. We can actually choose to protect ourselves, not in a self-paranoid way, but rather in a self-love way, where you're looking out for yourself and protecting your heart, because I'm pretty sure you're someone with pure intentions and who has great values, and it's very important for you to protect that, because you don't want to be at the mercy of other people who haven't worked on themselves and are just bleeding onto you. Trust God in this process when you're going through pain. And why I say that is that if we can open up to, so I'm getting my trusty iPad out, Psalm chapter 62 verse 11 says, God said to me once and for all the strength and power I need flows from me. And again I heard it clearly said, all the love you need is found in me. And it's true that you repay people for what they do. So remember, now that you're healing, that every bit of love you wish to receive comes from God already, because He created you and He created us to love, and He created us by love, and God is love. So everything you need, don't doubt yourself. You can find it in Him. I know it may feel, really? Yes, everything. If you really let God in, He will show you how he truly loves you. And I believe being loved by God cannot really come in touch to any other man. And when you're loved by God, you're secure in his love because you realize your value doesn't come from anybody else. It doesn't come from a person. It doesn't come from an opinion. It doesn't come from a job. It doesn't come from an academic grade. It comes from him. And when we are working in that way, nothing really disappoints us so much because it probably wasn't meant to be if it wasn't an accurate representation of God's love. The next point is build yourself. So right now, while you're feeling this pain, it's important to always ask yourself, I'm not saying there was anything wrong with you in the first place, but build yourself. So meaning get up. I know nobody wants to hear that, but honestly, it's actually like a switch. Like your pain is valid and it is there, but we have to do something with that pain. So we have to get up and go. Make opportunities. Go out. Don't stay in the flow of your emotions and your pain or the cycle of self-doubt and self-deprecation. Get up and go and find yourself because life is still worth living and you just have to keep pushing yourself. And the more you do that, the less you attach yourself or your value to that situation that may have really affected and hurt you in a negative way. So get up. There's so much value within you that you have to give and so much more that you have to build. And staying in the same place is not building yourself because at the end of the day, wherever those people may have left you or that situation may have left you is not where you should continue to find yourself. Treat yourself. I feel like that's something I'm learning to do now. I used to be really cheap. Well, I just would save for the more important things and deprive myself of having great things. But I'm realizing that nobody deserves to be happy. Everyone does deserve, especially when you work hard. You're working, you're earning your money, you're going to school, you're getting good grades, you're hardworking, you're kind, you're smart, you're intelligent. There's so many things. So you deserve to reward yourself. No one has to validate that for you. And I'm pretty sure we are wise enough to know when we can treat ourselves and when we have to, just kind of prioritize other things that are more important in that sense. So always try to treat yourself. Look for the good things that you always want, because there's one thing I'm trying to teach myself now as a young girl is that buy those things that yes, you would love your husband to buy for you, but buy it for yourself first, because there's one thing I'm trying to learn is that your true value is someone who values himself first. They don't need nobody can buy you. No one can buy your feelings. No one can buy your time, because you're already content in what you can provide for yourself. Even though it took you time, it's still worth it to you. Something that took you 3 months to buy on your own, you're proud of that thing you bought. In comparison to someone who just bought it for you. Yes, it's nice, but the true value is in someone who took their time to give it to themselves first. And that applies to several other things, not just in a materialistic standpoint. Learn to feel your pain and protect your inner girl. I feel younger you believes and deserves, thought she deserved the best. But as we've grown up and matured, we've almost forgotten and buried our inner child. Not that it's not there, but we've buried it and suppressed it with the norms and the opinions of the society and people. But looking back, you remember like your first love. You dreamt of it being the best. That doesn't change based upon a bad experience you've probably had with that. It actually rather reforms your identity, that yes, or reinforces that notion you once had in your head when you were younger, that yes, I do deserve the best love, because if this is not the best, this is the result of it, and I don't want to ever reap such a result again. That inner child, because that's what healing is all about. And as you grow, get to know more of the inner child, because your inner child is always present within you. It lives inside of you. She's the person who actually dictates the rest of your life. How you learn to attach to people growing up, that is something you might need to look into and talk to her. Sit with yourself and understand that inner child that couldn't understand herself when she was too young to have the ability to. So we need to grow to a point where we are grown enough to take care of the inner child that wasn't taken care of in the ways we may have needed it the most. Learn to hurt. That's so important. Learn to feel your pain. Learn to hurt. Learn to be vulnerable. Learn to cry. I feel like that's even such a great feminine trait, to just release your pain and feel it completely, not holding it in and trying to be masculine or trying to be strong. And thinking that makes you secure, but rather it just leads you to create an outburst for a moment that's not even deserved. Feel it, cry, process it, and turn it into something great. Because that's what we do as women. No matter what you give us, if you give us the best and you give us the worst, we're going to do two things. We're going to do one thing with them. Always turn it into something even greater. So remember that that's the capability you hold as a woman. Nothing comes into you and stays and turns into evil. You have a choice. You can remain bitter or choose to rise above the situation. You're seeing it as that was where your value was, or someone has taken something from you, but rather you are the love you give. Nobody can take that love away from you. You can only rechannel it into them or yourself. And there's nothing wrong in pouring into someone, but remember, if you're pouring into a leaking bucket, it's going to drain. But if you're pouring into something that's already full, it's going to overflow back into you. Take responsibility to walk away from things that no longer serve you, because when things don't serve you, they drain you. And remember, don't belong where you don't belong, because if something is no longer serving you, it's hurting you, and that's not somewhere you need to be. So please today, remember, even though this place really feels painful and hard, it's better to be in the process of healing than destroying your self-esteem with someone who's not even healed themselves. I hope this helped someone today. Bye.